get a super upgrade system and conquer the world of Hokage. The heartache of the first generation, the thorn in the eye of the second generation. Laughing and embracing the young master's hand, angrily chopping and hiding the dog's head, crisscrossing the flames and shadows, only I can form a mystery main characters. Jiexuan, Gangte, Orochimaru, Kakashi novel keywords. Super Hokage system speed full level no pop-ups, Super Hokage system speed full level TXT complete collection download, Super Hokage system speed full level latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Decay under the flame. You are listening at novel full.audio. The 12th year of Mai is a legendary era recorded in a file, Etienne. Outside the nursery, a middle-aged man with a face full of sighs and stubbles was holding a cigarette, looking a bit tired. The husband and wife of the Yusheng family have already lost their lives. Upon hearing these words, the young man named Etienne couldn't help but tremble slightly, appearing somewhat incredulous. With a trembling voice, he asked, "Are you all dead?" After receiving a positive answer from the middle-aged man, Etienne's eyes were already filled with tears and he said sadly, "I didn't expect that such a good couple like Yusheng would also die." The middle-aged man took a long puff of smoke and patted Etienne's shoulder to comfort him, saying, "Etienne, these righteous actions you have taken will not be forgotten by the higher authorities when the war ends." Upon hearing these words, Etienne felt as if he had been humiliated and blushed with embarrassment. "Where are you talking about? They entrusted their children to me as a couple, which is to trust me. Even if they die, I must raise them up. This is my responsibility." After a few more pleasantries, the two of them slowly walked out. The two of them slowly walked out of the door, never realizing that on the crib in the nursery, there was a pair of eyes staring closely at the business card on their crib. "Yusheng, did I actually travel to the world of Hokage?" Jiexuan squinted his eyes and looked at the nearby Huiying calendar, saying, 12 years of wood leaves. This is not very impressive. As a fan of Hokage, he is aware of the vast majority of events that occur in the world of Hokage. 3 Ninja Wars. 9 Tails attack Kiba. The downfall of the Uchiha family. Black Jew's scheme. But unfortunately, the vast majority of these major events occurred decades later. And the 12 years of Mai was a cruel and bloody era, with only a few short sentences of record, because it was just a simple war, fighting, without strength. "I'm afraid I'll die soon." Jiexuan closed his eyes and a row of eerie fonts slowly appeared before his eyes. "Please claim your beginner gift pack." Jiexuan looked at the constantly flashing news in front of him. At the same time, there was an ordinary-looking wooden treasure chest emitting a faint fluorescence. Character: Jiexuan. Item: none. Chakra: none. Ninjutsu: none. System: Jiexuan felt a little emotional. As soon as he traveled over, he discovered this system. Ninja cultivation system. However, Jiexuan did not rashly open the treasure box gifted by the system. If this box were to open a tall one, with his current baby's body, it would undoubtedly be causing trouble for himself. Inside the tall floor-to-ceiling mirror, on the warm crib, a cute baby is squinting its eyes and staring tightly at the mirror. "I didn't expect to turn into a baby." Jiexuan pinched his chin without getting too angry. After all, when calculated seriously, it can also be said to be a comeback. However, it's not yet time to consider this matter. Jiexuan frowned as he looked at the name named Yusheng Jiexuan on his bed. If I hadn't heard it wrong earlier, my parents with this body had already died in the war. This nursery should be a store dedicated to nurturing babies for Konoha ninjas, and Etienne from earlier should be the owner of this baby care store. At this moment, the door of the nursery suddenly opened again. The owner of the nursery, Etienne, is back. Jiexuan quickly lay back, but he saw that the expression on Etienne's face was very ugly between his eyelashes. A skinny face covered in the sneer of vultures. "Hee hee, you little one. If I had known your parents were so short-lived, I wouldn't have let you waste so many days of my food in vain. As he spoke, Crane Athletics walked straight towards Li Jiexuan's bed and reached out to grab him. Hetien's cold hands, resembling spider limbs, gripped Li Jiexuan's neck as if carrying a bag of garbage and grabbed him as he walked towards the back door of the nursery. "Hey, good kid, you're really sleeping soundly." Hetien grinned and opened the trash can behind the store door, directly throwing Li Jiexuan inside 1 minute later, until it was confirmed that Hetien had left. Li Jiexuan slowly stood up from the trash can with some helplessness, and couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the tight metal cover on the trash can. Sure enough, this is the true ninja. Li Jiexuan sighed deeply and said, "The will of fire may be burning brightly, but under the blazing flames, there are decaying branches and rotten roots." Chapter 2. Escape from the Trash Bin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, at this moment, a line of words popped out of Li Jiexuan's head. Beginner task, phased task. Escape from the trash can. Task content. Because the unscrupulous boss Hetien threw you in the trash can as a young child. The nights here are very cold. If you don't want to freeze to death, it's best to escape the trash can within 3 hours. Task reward. Painless throw, beginner. Task time limit. 3 hours. Escape from the trash can within 3 hours. It's easy to say, but Li Jiexuan carefully observed it. This trash can is a big guy that is 2 meters long and 1 meter tall. The walls were smooth, without any point of focus, and at a height of less than half a meter, he was like a prison. Is it Hetien? Li Jiexuan lowered his body and tried to explore useful things in the trash can. It really gave me a big problem. Li Jiexuan fumbled for a while and only found a huge fish bone in the trash can. There is no need to try this fish bone, combined with its own height, is less than 1 meter. It seems that relying on one's own strength is impossible to escape. This is also the reason why Hetien left him here with peace of mind. Li Jiexuan casually threw away his fishbone and sat down, pondering that saving some energy could help him persist for a longer time. Since that's the case, Li Jiexuan reached out and opened the wooden treasure box in the system. I just hope to have a prop that can escape from here. Unfortunately, the progress of things has always been contrary to expectations. The wooden treasure box slowly opened, and a faint fluorescence flashed through. Lowest level item. Automatically recyclable time and space Kuwu, character. Li Jiexuan. Item. Time and space Kuwu with automatic recycling, sharper than ordinary Kuwu, possessing the magical power of automatic recycling. Chakra. None. Ninjutsu. None. Li Jiexuan held on to Kuwu, who had a black glow in his hand, and sighed helplessly. Although it's a good thing, it doesn't help the current situation. Although Kuwu is sharp, Li Jiexuan's strength is too weak now. It's still too difficult to break through this thick iron plate with this painstaking effort. More importantly, over time, Li Jiexuan's limbs were so cold that he couldn't lift any strength. Unconsciously, 2 hours had already passed. That means in the remaining hour, if I can't escape, I'll freeze to death. At this point, Li Jiexuan could no longer care whether he would catch Hetien's attention and fiercely punched the iron plate. Help, help. In this situation, he could only hope that someone could hear him and rescue him. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of collisions in the garbage bin in the quiet alley seemed a bit dull. Li Jiexuan tilted his head and raised his arm, hitting the hard iron plate one after another. Half of the last hour had already passed, but Li Jiexuan felt that he might not have lasted as long as 3 hours. Although I have tried my best to save energy, calling for help is really too exhausting. Hurry up, someone. Li Jiexuan felt the heat in his chest slowly flowing away, and the life of a 1-year-old baby was so fragile, like a poor stray cat. In no time, he will be frozen into an popsicle, then pulled away by garbage collectors and sent to a raging fire. Someone, help me. Li Jiexuan desperately lifted his head, exhausted his last bit of strength, and threw himself fiercely into the iron plate. Chapter 3. Kind-hearted Men. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the dark alley, a sturdy man carrying a basket full of herbs rushed home with a determined face, saying, "Xiao Dai is at home alone. I hope nothing happens." Just then, with a loud bang, a strange noise suddenly came from the garbage bin in the corner, and the man was stunned for a moment. He unconsciously took 2 steps, but soon he still frowned and slowly walked back. Finally, someone has arrived. In a moment of blurred consciousness, Li Jiexuan seemed to hear a steady footsteps approaching him, with a pair of warm big hands gently picking him up. "This child is very similar to the kid from my family." The man's palms are warm and his voice is like a winter fire, making people feel at ease. The task of escaping the trash can has been completed. Please claim the task reward. The sound of the system remained unchanged, as if he didn't care about Li Jiexuan's life or death at all. However, he finally survived. Li Jiexuan pursed his lips with a smile and closed his eyes with peace of mind. Seemingly seeing Li Jiexuan smile, the man holding him couldn't help but smile and put Li Jiexuan into his arms. "Don't worry, I swear in the name of youth that I will make you live." As he spoke, a watermelon-headed man named Metkey laughed and left, with the wooden leaf on his forehead shining brightly. "As long as there are places where leaves dance, the will of fire will not stop burning." A huge spider hangs on the stained and mottled ceiling, weaving a web horizontally from side to side, with a very arrogant posture. "Did I get rescued?" Li Jiexuan slowly opened his eyes, tried to turn his head, and looked around at the environment. Under the dilapidated ceiling, in the empty Japanese-style room, there is no furniture except for a wooden bed. This is really a destitute home. After seeing these decorations, Li Jiexuan found a baby about the same age lying next to him. Stupid watermelon head, tiger head and tiger brain, ugly and cute. In addition to the baby, there is also a robust middle-aged man in this room. The middle-aged man was dressed as a farmer, but his comical watermelon head made him even more lively. The man was holding a basket of herbs in his arms and carefully selecting them. At first glance, this watermelon-headed man gave Li Jiexuan a familiar feeling. However, this familiarity carries a strangeness. In summary, Li Jiexuan seemed to know him, but he was certain that he had never seen him before. What a strange feeling. Li Jiexuan shook his head but remained silent. When he didn't understand the situation, he didn't want to show any unusual behavior beyond that of a baby. Li Jiexuan gently closed his eyes again. Newcomer task. Escape from the trash can, complete. Painless throw, beginner. Can be claimed. Claim. After confirming the claim, Li Jiexuan suddenly had an additional skill column in his head. Kowu throw, beginner. At the same time, a sudden warm current surged out of Li Jiexuan's hands, slowly flowing towards his entire body from the tip of his 10 fingers. Li Jiexuan could feel that this warm current seemed to be strengthening his physique, but as it flowed, it slowly became thinner. When this warm current reached his feet, it had become slightly imperceptible. Obviously, the main reinforcement of this warm current was still his hands. When the warm current completely disappeared, Li Jiexuan slowly opened his eyes and involuntarily reached out to grab the wooden bed pillar beside him. Crunching. Under Li Jiexuan's grasp, the sawdust burst open one after another, making a sound that made people's teeth ache. Gently releasing his hand, Li Jiexuan looked at the small handprint clearly visible on the solid wood bed pillar beside him and couldn't help but grin. It seems that even in this world of fire shadows, my strength has far exceeded that of an ordinary 2-year-old child. Chapter 4. Metkey's Grandfather. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At the same time, an indescribable sensation suddenly exploded in Li Jiexuan's mind. It seems that there are countless experiences and skills of throwing painstakingly into Li Jiexuan's brain. After a while, Li Jiexuan suddenly opened his eyes and a sharp gleam flashed through. Got it. Throwing the technique of painlessness. Li Jiexuan savored the mysterious feeling carefully, his wrist involuntarily swaying gently with his thoughts. He could feel the combination of strength and skill, and within 100 meters, all his hardships were unleashed without fail. But at this moment, perhaps Li Jiexuan's unintentional movements were too big. Metkey noticed something unusual and walked over to pick up Li Jiexuan. "Are you awake?" Metkey picked up the little Li Jiexuan with a friendly smile on his face. Since he picked up Li Jiexuan from the trash can, he has already made up his mind to raise him. Li Jiexuan looked at Metkey with a suspicious expression on his face. The closer he looked, the more familiar he felt about the man's appearance. Thick eyebrows, comical watermelon heads, and this strange to abnormal purple tight-fitting suit, it's really a strange sense of familiarity. Is he an important figure in the Hokage? Li Jiexuan couldn't help but furrow his eyebrows, but in his memory, Huiying had never seen this face before. "Child, don't cry, don't cry." Metkey saw the little Li Jiexuan frown and thought he was scared. "Don't be afraid, I'm not a bad person. I will definitely raise you and shall die together." Metkey, such a familiar name. Li Jiexuan pondered on his own, but Metkey was also talking to himself on the side. "You're so young, I'm afraid you can't remember your own name," Metkey nodded thoughtfully. "Otherwise, you'll follow my surname and be called Metkey." Metkey. Upon hearing this name, Li Jiexuan's eyes immediately widened like copper bells. Metkey. No wonder he had always had a familiar feeling before, because he had indeed heard of these two names before. In Naruto comics, the name Metkey runs through the entire Naruto movie. Lilac, the master of one of the top 12 Konoha players and a close friend of Kakashi, is a tough man who almost kicked the big finale. Of course, such a strong guy hasn't been born yet. Because his father, Metkey, was lying next to Li Jiexuan, with a watermelon head on his head, snoring foolishly. "I didn't expect to be saved by Metkey's grandfather." Li Jiexuan couldn't help but carefully examine Metkey. "You should know that both the son and grandson of this man are men who have reached the pinnacle of physical cultivation." However, strangely in the shadows of the fire, Metkey seemed to have no sound, not even appearing at all. So, it's very likely that Metkey died in this first ninja war. As soon as he thought of this, Li Jiexuan couldn't help but secretly make up his mind as he looked at Metkey's silly watermelon head. "Since you saved my life today, I definitely won't let you die like this." Li Jiexuan has already decided that he must save Metkey and change his fate. But at this moment, Li Jiexuan suddenly thought of something. Metkey. 12 years of wood leaf. Until now, Li Jiexuan finally understands what the 12 years of Muyi truly mean to him. This means that the group of wooden leaf little Changs who have hung up have not yet been born, and even their parents are still babies. Under such circumstances Li Jiexuan can change history and completely change the fate of many people. He may rewrite the story of Naruto. At the thought of this, Li Jiexuan trembled with excitement. Metkey kept holding Li Jiexuan and scratching his head in confusion. "Are you cold? Or is the name Metkey not good?" "I think it's good. I was originally planning to give it to my grandson for use." "Ha!" Upon hearing these words, Li Jiexuan took a deep breath and said, "You better give it to your grandson. I have a name, called Li Jiexuan." "Does Li Jiexuan have this surname?" Metkey was puzzled. After learning that it was Metkey's grandfather, Li Jiexuan couldn't help but speak casually. After all, the nickname of the Metkey family is an existence called a hot-blooded fool. It's better to get along with such people directly. As expected, Matthews had no doubt why Li Jiexuan, a 2-year-old child, spoke in such a tone. Instead, he scratched his head very seriously and said, "Li Jiexuan, it doesn't sound as good as Matthews." Li Jiexuan smiled and shook his head, then jumped out of Metkey's arms. That warm current not only strengthened his hands, but also benefited other parts of his body to some extent. Although he may not be as strong as adults, he can at least move freely now. Standing on the ground, Li Jiexuan felt as if he had only fully integrated into the world of fire shadows from now on, and had a sense of stability and authenticity. Huiying World, I'm Li Jiexuan here. Chapter 5. Make Money, Ninja. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the early morning, in the quiet park, Li Jiexuan stood among tall trees, taking a long breath. A matte bitterness faintly appeared in Li Jiexuan's sleeve. Go. His wrist trembled lightly, and a sharp pain shot out from Li Jiexuan's sleeve. With a loud bang, Kuwu crawled fiercely into the trunk like a venomous snake, and half of Kuwu penetrated deeply. This is still a hard tree trunk that already possesses such destructive power. If this is a soft body, Li Jiexuan gently waved his hand, and the dull bitterness disappeared from the trunk and reappeared in his hand. Even the lowest level treasures have no discount on their magical power. Time is like water. It has been exactly 3 years since Li Jiexuan came to this world. Li Jiexuan smiled and put the bitterness of time and space into his sleeve, then turned around and walked towards Maitra's house. That's all for today's training. Maitra should also come back. 10 minutes later, Li Jiexuan returned to the rudimentary room. Jiexuan, have you returned? Metkey squatted on the ground, carefully sorting the various herbs in the herbal basket. Li Jiexuan nodded, but couldn't help but ponder in his heart. After a few days of living, Li Jiexuan discovered that Metkey would go out of the village every morning and night to pick herbs. Although Maitra is a ninja, he is so poor because of these herbs. Apart from picking herbs and exercising, he has no time to complete ninja missions. Otherwise, even if he just endured. With the high salary of ninjas, it is impossible for life to be so difficult. Uncle Metkey, what are these herbs used for? Li Jiexuan squinted his eyes. If he had guessed correctly, these herbs might have been one of the important reasons for the success of the Metkey family's physical arts. These are for taking baths. Metkey had no intention of concealing anything and raised his arm with a smile, showing off his muscles. Every time you exercise, your body gets very tired, so you must use specialized herbs to take a bath. Upon hearing these words, Li Jiexuan nodded secretly and said, sure enough, although the main reason for the strong physical skills of the Metkey family is hard work. But without this unique secret recipe, relying solely on effort would only be a castle in the air. My body won't be able to handle it. What's up? Summary. Do Xian also want to take a bath together? Metkey sorted the herbs and picked up Li Jiexuan with a smile. Although it's a bit early, if you want to practice physical skills, you and Xiao Dai can take a bath with me in the future. Upon hearing these words, even Li Jiexuan couldn't help but be moved. As the saying goes, being poor in literature and rich in martial arts, even in the world of Hokage, this sentence still applies. The resources required to cultivate physical skills are obviously much more than those required to cultivate ninjutsu. This is also one of the reasons why Metkey is so poor. I am not related to him, but Metkey allows me to enjoy expensive medicinal baths for free, diluting his efficacy. I want to learn sports. Li Jiexuan nodded, but soon shook his head again and said, however, I can handle the herbs myself. This is not that Li Jiexuan insisted on showing off his strength, but that soaking in a medicinal bath alone would naturally have a much better effect than 3 people together. Perhaps this is also the reason why the Mat family is even stronger each generation. Upon hearing Li Jiexuan's words, Meite Dai didn't say anything, just scratched his head and looked a bit confused. Xiao Jiexuan, these herbs are not cheap if you buy them. How much does it cost? 100,000 taels. Upon hearing this number, Li Jiexuan nodded slightly. This is indeed a considerable amount of money. A ninja completing a B.level mission may only cost 100,000 taels. However, Li Jiexuan smiled and shook his head, don't worry, I will handle it myself. Before he could finish speaking, a line of words suddenly popped out of Li Jiexuan's head. Survival mission. Make money, ninja. Task content. A single penny cannot defeat a hero. A man can have no wife, and cannot have no money for a day. Earn 10 million taels at the fastest speed possible. Task reward. Unknown, changing over time. Task time. Unlimited. Surprisingly, a new task has appeared. Jiexuan smiled and shrugged, the system really looks up to me. 10 million taels, it's really not a small number. Chapter 6, That Kid, Let Go of That Girl. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the morning, the familiar Parkly Jiexuan let out a deep sigh, and the pain of time and space danced flexibly between his 5 fingers. However, he really doesn't have much mood to train and struggle with throwing now. The survival task of making money has been hanging in his mind for 3 days. But in these 3 days, he didn't even earn a penny. The world of Hokage is completely different from the past, and most people here rely on technology to eat. The business of buying and selling at a loss is only profitable for merchants spanning several countries. Not to mention that the entire ninja world is currently in wartime, with taboos everywhere that cannot be interfered with. Sigh. Jiexuan let out a long sigh and said, I didn't expect that. As a traveler, I couldn't find any business opportunities. It's really embarrassing. But the cowhide has already been blown out, and he can't make any money. He's too embarrassed to take the medicine bath of the Metkey father and son. Without a medicinal bath, one cannot practice physical arts. Just as Jiexuan was sighing uncontrollably, a burst of children's fighting noise suddenly came from outside the park. Don't come over. The boy, covered in bruises, stumbled into the park with a red and white fan embroidered with the Uchiha clan logo on his high-necked short combat kimono. The Uchiha clan. Jiexuan carefully hid behind the tree, pondering in his heart. Now it is the 12th year of the Kiba era, and the status of the Uchiha family is still very high. What kind of person would it be? How dare you beat up the descendants of the Uchiha clan like this? At this moment, a cute loli with yellow-brown hair followed in. But what's completely different from her cute appearance is that Xiaoyuli's cute little face is full of devilish grins, holding her pink little fist and grinning. Little hairtail, you dare to speak ill of people behind your back, so be prepared to pay the price. Wow! Uchiha covered the swollen lump on his head and cried into tears, feeling aggrieved. It's not that I called you whaley girl at all, it's my cousin who called you whaley girl, he said. I know, but... The cute little loli grinned and slowly raised her fist, then fiercely punched Uchiha Daiyu on the head. Aren't you shouting now, this guy? Fishing law enforcement, naked fishing law enforcement. Gangsho, don't be too arrogant. We, the Uchiha clan, are not afraid of you, the thousand-armed clan. Uchiha Daiyugan choked and moved his family out. This is the confidence belonging to their Uchiha clan. Who would have thought that no one cared about his identity in the Uchiha family at all? As soon as Gangsho heard this name, he became even more enthusiastic in fighting. As for Jiexuan, who was hiding behind the tree, he didn't even shake off Uchiha at all. He was so shocked by little loli's identity that he couldn't speak. Gangsho. This lovely little loli is actually Gangsho. Among Naruto, the highly popular Naruto 5th generation, Tsunade Himeji. The princess of the thousand-armed clan, even the hero has secretly dreamed of a beautiful woman who has never touched her in his lifetime. As soon as Jiexuan confirmed the identity of Gangsho, a line of words suddenly appeared in his mind. Novice task. Defeat Gangsho. Task description. Child Wang Gangsho is domineering. As a righteous ninja, you must defeat Gangsho and rescue the oppressed children from their nightmares. Task reward. Lower ninja basic chakra. Task time. 5 minutes. Upon seeing this, Jiexuan couldn't help but get excited. It's natural to practice body techniques with kitewai, but chakra is ultimately the foundation of this world. However, defeat Gangsho. This is what is known as Konoha San Nin, the Tsunade Ji of the strange woman. If it were Gangte in 20 years, Li Jiexuan would definitely give up this task decisively. But now, Li Jiexuan couldn't help but grin. Although it was difficult, it was not without opportunities. Hey, that kid, let go of that girl. Chapter 7. Poor Uchiha Daiyu. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Hey, that kid, let go of that girl. Let me do it. Li Jiexuan jumped out of the forest, his righteous eyes glaring fiercely at the bewildered Uchiha Daiyu. After a while, Uchiha Daiyu finally realized. Are you blind, this guy? It was clear that Gangte was holding onto his collar, and it was also him who was beaten. Uchiha Daiyu glared angrily at Li Jiexuan and said, also, how dare you, a damn commoner, speak to the great Uchiha like this? The stink of the Uchiha family is indeed inherited in one lineage. Li Jiexuan sneered and pursed his lips. What a great Uchiha clan. Despite being constantly ostracized by Kiba after the end of the First World War, he still held himself high and couldn't understand the situation. Finally, he was defeated by his own family's genius. Uchiha Itachi. The Uchiha family is destined to be a tragedy. Thinking of this, Li Jiexuan couldn't help but feel a hint of pity in his eyes as he looked at Daiyu. This Uchiha Daiyu probably won't end well either. Damn it, you commoners shouldn't look at me with such eyes. They have always been the Uchiha clan who pity others. Where have they ever been pitied by others? Uchiha Daiyu's self-esteem has suffered an unprecedented severe blow. Okay, I got it. Little hair tail. Li Jiexuan doted on Uchiha Daiyu, thinking that this child probably hasn't had many years to live. Uchiha Daiyu was about to go crazy. Let me down, Gangte. I want to teach this ignorant commoner a good lesson. Even though he has been beaten by Gangte to an immature form, Uchiha Daiyu still cannot tolerate the insult of Li Jiexuan, a commoner. Okay. Surprisingly, Gangte actually let go of his hand and stood on the side, fully prepared. It's really interesting. Gangte stared closely at Li Jiexuan. This was the first time she had seen such an interesting thing. Surprisingly, some commoners would look at the members of the Uchiha clan with such eyes, and this guy looks even smaller than her. As soon as Uchiha Daiyu landed, he roared and rushed towards Li Jiexuan. Kid, I want you to understand the consequences of insulting the Uchiha clan. Seeing Uchiha rushing towards the rain, Li Jiexuan instinctively shook his sleeve, feeling that time and space had almost made a move. Fortunately, Li Jiexuan finally realized that with his current strength, if time and space were to suffer, Uchiha would undoubtedly die on behalf of Yu. Although the Uchiha family is destined to fall decades later, killing Li Jiexuan is still as simple as pinching an ant. It's better to use stones. Li Jiexuan bent down to pick up a small stone, his wrist gently shaking, and Uchiha Daiyu couldn't even react. The small stone the size of a thumb accurately hit the numb tendon on his knee. Uchiha's legs couldn't help but soften, and he was like a rolling gourd rolling on the ground, rolling several times in a row. In the end, he threw himself in front of Li Jiexuan with a disheveled face and simply fainted. This child was not easy either. First, he was brutally beaten by Gangte, and then he was brutally humiliated by Li Jiexuan. Just passing out like this may be a good thing for him. Li Jiexuan couldn't help but sigh. Bullying children is really not what he wants. Seeing this, Gangte couldn't help but brighten his eyes and slowly put down his hand. She clearly did not expect that Li Jiexuan, dressed as a commoner, would have such means. However, now she doesn't have to intervene to rescue. Regarding the honor of the Uchiha family, Uchiha Daiyu will not show mercy. Chapter 8. The Big Fat Sheep Appearing Early. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Interesting. Gangte's cute big eyes stared tightly at Li Jiexuan and said, Who are you? Li Jiexuan. What a strange name. Gangte looked at Li Jiexuan and raised his fist with a smile. However, Li Jiexuan, you should know that I don't need your help with that kind of guy at all. Li Jiexuan nodded clearly and said, I know, I'm not here to help you either. Oh. Gangzhou was somewhat surprised. I'm here to challenge you. Li Jiexuan threw down the stone in his hand, gently swinging his wrist, and the time and space in his sleeve slipped down quietly. Challenge me. Seeing the bitterness in Li Jiexuan's hand, Gangzhou couldn't help but squint his eyes, raise his fist, and smirk. Since I started school, no one has dared to challenge me for a long time. Watching, a big war is on the verge of breaking out. No, you misunderstood. Li Jiexuan suddenly waved his hand and took out a square stone from his pocket. He gently carved a few dots with Kuwu and said, this is a dice. As he spoke, Li Jiexuan took out a stack of leaves from his pocket and said, this is called a leaf card. I want to use this to defeat you. Li Jiexuan chuckled and said, these are all very interesting things. Seeing Li Jiexuan put away his suffering, it didn't matter to Gangzhou. Anyway, the meal of beating hairtail today was quite satisfying. What worries her even more is these novel little things. I can't say why, these things seem to have a special natural attraction for her. What are these? Cute Xia Gangshu curiously stretched out his head, ignoring everything else. Got it. Li Jiexuan couldn't help but smile, knowing it from the moment he received this task. Wanting to defeat Princess Gangzhou with 1,000 hands by force is simply a pipe dream. So Li Jiexuan had to resort to this strategy, leading the legendary fat sheep of Gangzhou into a gambling dead end ahead of time. 10 minutes later, Li Jiexuan released his hand and the rudimentary dice rolled gently on the ground before finally stopping steadily. 2, ha ha ha. This will definitely defeat you. Gangzhou picked up the dice and laughed heartily. After so much effort, she had already lost tens of thousands of taels of silver, which finally allowed her to win back. As he spoke, Gangte confidently threw the dice out. Gululu. The dice rolled gently on the ground, and Gangzhou was very confident. Having been taught by many strong players since childhood, it is simply too easy for her to control the dice to roll up to 6. As expected, the dice gradually stopped, and the number at the top was indeed 6. Seeing this, the corner of Gang's mouth couldn't help but pick it up. Just then, a strange breeze suddenly blew in Gulu. The dice rolled lightly again under the wind. 1. How could this be possible? Gangzhou sat down on the ground in surprise, his pink and cute face filled with disbelief. As expected. Li Jiexuan picked up the dice with a smile and reached out his hand to Gang, saying, Master Gang, then I'll leave this matter to you. In addition to money, Li Jiexuan also gambled with Gangzhou on some interesting things. Gangzhou angrily patted Li Jiexuan's hand and said, I know, you guy. You're really lucky enough to win so many times over this princess. This is not Li Jiexuan's good luck, it's clear that your luck is too bad. As he spoke, Gangzhou scratched his head in distress and said, but that guy from second grandpa will definitely not agree. Now, we can only go find grandfather. Grandpa. Li Jiexuan widened his eyes, if he remembered correctly. Gangshou's second grandfather is the second generation of Huiying Qianshou Kaijian. That great-grandfather is naturally the 1,000-handed pillar, known as the god of ninjas. Qianshou Zhujian, still alive now. Chapter 9. Between 1,000-handed pillars. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The mansion of the 1,000-handed clan an hour ago, Li Jiexuan couldn't have imagined it. Surprisingly, I was able to arrive so quickly at the family mansion known as the God of Ninjas, 1,000-handed pillars. In the tall courtyard, there are fragrant flowers and plants, rugged rockeries, and countless treasures to behold. The mansion of the 1,000-handed clan is like a graceful lady, peaceful, gentle, and noble. But Li Jiexuan closely followed behind Gangzhou, not even daring to lift his head. Because he knew that beneath this seemingly peaceful mansion, there were countless ninjas hiding in the shadows, staring closely at him. However, the news that Qian Shizu was still alive really surprised Li Jiexuan. Because according to previous Hokage enthusiasts, in the 12th year of Kiba's life, Qianshou Zhujian should have died a long time ago. But now, this person who should have died is still alive and well. Li Jiexuan quickly adjusted his mindset. After all, the entire era of the 12 years of Konoha is blurred in the records of Hokage. It's not surprising that Qianshu has lived longer than expected. Just as he was thinking about it, Gangho suddenly stopped laughing. Here we go. Opening the paper sliding door, on the bright tatami mat, the young and handsome Qianshu sat upright in front of the low table, smiling as he reached out his hand to Gang and said, "Xiao Gangho, why are you free to come find Grandpa today? What kind of trouble did you cause?" Speaking, Qianshu glanced meaningfully at Li Jiexuan. Gangho plunged into his arms between the thousand-handed pillars and twisted his body like a little loach, coquettishly saying, "Grandpa, can't I come to see you when I'm free? They just miss you." Seeing this, Li Jiexuan's originally low head couldn't help but lower deeper. It's really unbelievable that even a mother Tyrannosaurus Rex like Gangho would act coquettishly like this. Li Jiexuan couldn't help but think for a moment, and as an adult, Gangho acted coquettishly in Zilai's arms. Li Jiexuan couldn't help but shiver. It was really a nightmare. The feeling of discord is full. However, Qianshou Zhujian did understand his granddaughter well enough and shook his head with a smile, saying, "Don't try to make me happy, you girl. If you have anything to say, hurry up. Did you hit someone from the Yuzhibo family or damaged some treasure?" "None of them." Gangho jumped out of his arms between the thousand-handed pillars and chuckled, "I was just playing dice and lost a little bit." "Dice?" Qianshu widened his eyes and exclaimed in surprise, "Who taught you how to play?" Without hesitation, Gangho sold Li Jiexuan standing aside, "It's me." Li Jiexuan lifted his head, his small face filled with a comical bitter smile. Seeing this, Qianshu unconsciously took a sip of tea and exclaimed in surprise, "It's this little guy who took my lead." Qianshu also enjoys gambling, and his luck is equally bad. Or, to put it another way, Gangshou's addiction to gambling was completely caused by Qianshou Zhujian's one-handed behavior. Even after his resurrection, Qianshou Zhujian was very happy to see that Gangte had inherited his gambling will. "I didn't expect you, this kid, to start faster than me." Qianshou Zhujian muttered and shook his head, looking at Li Jiexuan with a strange expression. "Kid, if that guy in the room knows, you really have a big problem." Li Jiexuan naturally didn't dare to speak casually in front of Qianshu, just an awkward smile. Compared to the unscrupulous Zhu Jian, as his younger brother, Fei Jian is just an old-fashioned person. "If he were to know about this, alright, tell me, what exactly did you win from our little gang hand?" Qianshu seemed to have thought of something and patted the table, laughing heartily. "If it's Xiaojiang's heart, just take it with you." Upon hearing this, Li Jiexuan couldn't help but curl his lips and say, "What the hell is this guy talking about? The personality of the first generation is indeed the same as rumored, how can we say it? Is it a bit unorthodox? It's enrollment." Gangte interrupted his grandfather's malicious joke with a red face and said, "He wants to enter second grandpa's ninja academy and learn ninjutsu." Chapter 10. Training begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you want to enter Ninja Academy? Qianshu looked at Li Jiexuan in surprise, with a strange expression in his eyes. "I want to become a qualified ninja." Li Jiexuan stared at Qianshu with bright eyes, his small eyes filled with unwavering determination. Feeling Li Jiexuan's sincerity, the expression on his face between the thousand-handed pillars became even more strange. He thought to himself, "Does this little guy know what he's doing?" You have to consider carefully, the president of the Ninja Academy is Kazuma. Speaking of his rigid younger brother, Chikumasa couldn't help but laugh. You just taught Kagoro how to gamble, and entering his school may not yield good results. Qianshou Zhujian did not leave any face for Qianshou Kaijian, and clearly stated that Qianshou Kaijian would wear small shoes for Li Jiexuan. In fact, the first generation has always been such a naive, passionate, and lovable man with a broad mind. I know this, but I must get into the ninja academy. Pick up the brick, I can't hug you. Put down the bricks, I won't be able to support you. Since that's the case, Li Jiexuan chose to let you hold the brick and I'll hold you. Ordinary ninjas without a family, if they don't enter the ninja academy, they will only be cannon fodder for their entire lives. Seeing Li Jiexuan's persistence, Qianshou finally nodded. Although the vast majority of students admitted to schools now are descendants of major families, as long as they speak up, the matter of Li Jiexuan's enrollment can be considered settled. I will arrange for you to enroll. On September 10th, you just need to report directly to the school. Li Jiexuan couldn't help but curl his lips. Even if he escaped to the world of Huiying, could he not avoid the nightmare of September 10th? After achieving his goal, Li Jiexuan naturally said goodbye. The first generation wouldn't keep him for dinner. After all, their relationship isn't that close yet. After being delayed outside for so long today, perhaps Metkey should be anxious. Li Jiexuan smiled and shook his head, realizing that he had no family in his past life. I didn't expect to come here and experience a feeling that worries others. However, when Li Jiexuan opened the dilapidated door, Metkey nodded calmly as usual and then lowered his head to deal with the herbs. Li Jiexuan nodded in a daze, but after a while, he couldn't help but ask, "Don't you want to ask me what I did?" Upon hearing these words, Metkey kept saying, "I knew from the beginning that you were different from an ordinary child. I think you have your own things to do." So. Did Metkey already know? I guess so. Metkey just has a simple personality, but he's not stupid. After so many days, he could naturally see something, but he didn't stop speaking. In his opinion, he should not inquire about the secrets that Li Jiexuan is unwilling to reveal. You really are. Li Jiexuan was somewhat moved, and he finally understood why so many people like the plain and unadorned Metkey. I want to practice physical skills. Li Jiexuan gave all the 100,000 yuan he won from Gangte to Metkey. Taking the money, Metkey's eyes suddenly became more serious than ever before, staring closely at Li Jiexuan. Are you sure you want to practice physical skills with me? This is very tiring. It's not just tiring, it's just an inhumane way of exercising. However, I'm sure. Li Jiexuan nodded resolutely and said, "No matter how hard it is, I will persist." Li Jiexuan and Metkey's eyes met each other, with two pairs of eyes, one big and one small, converging in the air and colliding fiercely. After a while seemingly sensing something, Metkey suddenly grabbed the money and ordered, "I'll go buy some herbs. During the time I'm back, I'll do 500 push-ups." As soon as he finished speaking, Metkey jumped out with a frog-like jump. Seeing this, Li Jiexuan understood that the physical training exclusively belonging to the Metkey family had already begun.